Thanks very much for staying with This Time Now for Eye on Africa with me, Georgia Calvin-Smith. Tonight, winning isn't always a victory. As the counting continues for South Africa's local elections, it's clear the ruling ANC has taken the lion's share of ballots, but is still left licking its wounds. For the first time, voters in major cities back the opposition. Also, divisions run deep in Boko Haram. The Nigerian militants have pledged allegiance to the IS group, who on Wednesday named a new leader. But the longtime chief of the African jihadists is having none of it and says there's been a coup. And we meet the Zimbabwean pastor who sparked the online ThisFlag campaign. Evan Mawarire is in exile in South Africa, where he's currently on a tour amongst other exiled and expat Zimbabweans, many of whom want to see change in their homeland. But first, the ANC is close to securing a bittersweet victory in local elections in South Africa. Although the count from Wednesday's polls showed the ruling party holding a big nationwide lead, it has suffered its biggest political blow since the end of apartheid. Voters in the major cities of Port Elizabeth, Pretoria and Johannesburg showed strong support for the opposition Democratic Alliance. Anger at corruption, the economy and mismanagement has been eating away at the ANC's support base. President Jacob Zuma was also dealt a personal blow by losing his hometown of Nkandla. Final results due in by Friday, but voter discontent with the ANC is already clear. Aisha Ishmael tells us more about what this means for South African politics going forward.
These results certainly changes the political landscape in South Africa. People who have traditionally voted for the ANC decided during these local government elections to give their vote to the opposition. And it shows that people are sick and tired and have become tired of the corruption, poverty, unemployment, as well as service delivery. But it also goes to show that South Africa, that the democracy in South Africa has matured, so much so that people are free to vote for whomever they choose. And in these elections, they decided to go for, well, most people who left the ANC decided to go for the opposition because they believe that the opposition is probably better placed in a better position to improve their lives. One of the things that they are saying, and it's consistent in people that I spoke to yesterday and today, they saying 22 years of democracy, we still do not have clean running water, we still do not have electricity, and we're still living in shacks. And so they've thrown their lot in with the Democratic Alliance, hoping that the opposition will give them a better life.
Aisha Ishmael there for us in Cape Town. Now, the rifts within Boko Haram have been exposed after the long-time leader of the Nigerian insurgents broke months of silence to deny that someone else had taken over. Abubakar Shekau's reportedly released a recording saying that there's been a coup and that he will not be following the man named as his successor on Wednesday by the Islamic State group with which Boko Haram is affiliated. Nicholas Sherman has more.
Boko Haram leader Abubakar Shekau has been reported dead on numerous occasions by the Nigerian army, but every time he reappears. On Thursday, he sent out an audio message. But this time it was a response not to the army, but to the Islamic State organization. This week, it had said that its affiliate Boko Haram was now led by Abu Musab al-Barnawi. Boko Haram pledged allegiance to the Islamic State organization last year. In his message on Thursday, Shekau dismissed al-Barnawi as an infidel. In June, the US had already said there appeared to be a split within the group over Shekau's failure to adhere to guidance from the IS organization. Al-Barnawi said he would bomb churches and no longer attack, like Shekau, mosques and markets frequented by Muslims. Since 2009, Boko Haram has killed some 20,000 people, mostly Muslims in northeast Nigeria. Shekau had been the head of Boko Haram since 2009, when security forces killed Mohammed Yusuf, the group's founding chief.
Well, on Thursday, the UN's human rights chief said that officials have documented over 200 cases of alleged sexual violence committed against civilians during fighting between government and opposition forces in South Sudan in July. Many women say that they were raped just outside of the UN camp where tens of thousands of people displaced in the country's civil war have sheltered. Simona Foltin tells us more.
For these women, a trip to the market means risking their lives. Over 100 have been raped in the past weeks, some killed, just outside this United Nations camp for displaced in Juba. A survivor shows her scars from an attack on July 18th. She says 5 soldiers from the SPLA, the National Army, raped her in broad daylight.
The soldiers gave me 2 options. Either I could choose the one who would rape me, or they all would. I asked them to kill me instead.
When the soldiers caught her, she was just a few meters away from the UN gate.
This is where they caught me. Then they dragged me over to the side of the road, leading towards the checkpoint. This is where they raped me.
This is the spot where one of the victims said she was captured by soldiers, dragged away and raped. The peacekeepers are just a few meters away, but she said they did nothing to stop it. Most of the rape victims are Nuer, the tribe of recently deposed First Vice President Riek Machar. They believe they are being targeted based on their ethnicity. But even though it's not safe to leave the camp, hunger has left them with no other choice.
There's no food here. That's why we're forced to go outside. But when we go out, the soldiers attack us. They take all of our food and rape the young women.
The UN says it has protected civilians to the best of its ability and has pledged to increase patrolling outside its bases.
We did have some restrictions for a day or so, and we were going as far as we possibly can. But I can tell you, both around the POC site and inside the compound, there was still a robust level of patrolling going on.
Many here no longer believe the UN can protect them. But as long as South Sudan continues to slip back into civil war, they simply have nowhere else to go.
Well, in Kenya, a British sugar trader is denied charges of cocaine trafficking after nearly 100 kilos were impounded in the port of Mombasa. Jack Marion is the managing director of Kenyan and Ugandan-based Nshali Commodities and has been remanded in custody pending a bail hearing due Monday. A Kenyan suspect has also denied the charges. Altogether, 3 men were questioned in connection to a €2.7 million seizure of cocaine that came from Brazil and was found hidden in containers of sugar last Friday. And finally, the Zimbabwean pastor whose online videos started the ThisFlag protest movement has been touring universities in South Africa. Evan Mawarire fled there after he was arrested and charged with subversion in his homeland last month. Now, he was later released on bail, but Mawarire and other exiles continue to call for change in Zimbabwe.
They braved the cold and wet Cape Town winter weather to see their new hero, dubbed the Flag Pastor, and they carried their national symbol with pride.
I brought the flag because Zim is home and I wanted to remember that Zim is home.
And just along the road, everyone that saw me wearing this flag would just wave and say hello.
I've been a huge supporter of this movement from the very beginning, and it would be a great honor to hear him live as well.
These students could not contain their excitement as Pastor Evan Mawarire entered the packed hall. The pastor was arrested last month in Harare. He dared to publicly criticize President Mugabe.
We are saying it is not business as usual for you to buy yourselves new cars whilst our hard-working teachers and doctors go without salaries. And we will no longer accept it.
One man's protest on social media has grown over a few weeks into a citizens' movement as Zimbabweans yearn for fresh leadership.
Are you in exile and will you stand for the presidency for us now that you've started this movement?
You know, to be honest, it does scare you because this was, it was not the intention to become an icon of what people are looking for, you know. My gosh, I didn't realize that the desperation was at this level. But I didn't think it was this deep. But it's important for me not to be irresponsible with this and to channel this in a direction that has never been channeled before.
As As calls for change become more urgent in Zimbabwe, the pastor remains more convinced that the movement must remain non-violent and non-partisan.
That report by Caroline Jume and Aisha Ishmael. Well, that's it, though, for Eye on Africa for now. Thanks for joining us, and do so again if you can. Take care.